So welcome everyone to this video where I'm really excited to be talking about some of the latest developments and evolutions here at the Optimum Health Clinic. I'm also joined by Kirsty Cullen from the Optimum Health Clinic team. Hi, Kirsty.
Hi there.
So I think the first thing I should say is a little bit of a hands up confession that we have not put out the volume of content on our social media channels and YouTube and newsletters and so on in the last 6 to 12 months that we have done really for the last 15 or plus or so years. And the reason being is we have been phenomenally busy in this time. And that's, one could say, from a kind of organizational growth point of view, it's exciting, but also for us, it's somewhat heartbreaking because every person that contacts us is another person that's struggling and suffering with these conditions. And as an organization, we take our commitment to the quality of the work that we do incredibly seriously. And so we ended up last summer closing our books for a while of taking on new patients and building up some quite large waiting lists as we really took the time to develop, I guess, the vision and the strategy to be able to handle the level of demand and interest in what we're doing, but also, as I say, to be able to deliver our services at the level of quality which is important to us. One of the factors that's come out of that, and I'm very excited to be announcing this, is, and the reason why Kirsty is with me, is Kirsty has recently taken the role of Chief Executive of the Optimum Health Clinic. This is a role that I've had for, I think, about 17 years. But I came to realize last year that the kind of demands on my time across the many kind of projects that I'm involved in was such that I wasn't able to give the level of care and attention to support the organization that was needed. And I took a lot of sort of thought and reflection of how best to address this. And Kirsty was my first choice and my only choice for this role. So Kirsty, firstly, in this video, kind of welcome into your new role. Of course, you've been there now for a while. Do you want to just start off by saying a little bit about your background with Optimum Health Clinic? I think it'd be nice for people to understand a bit about the previous roles and experiences that you've had within the organization.
Yes. And I mean, I feel really born and bred within the Optimum Health Clinic, actually, because I started working with the clinic, 10 years ago plus, when I was sort of still really developing my own nutrition training and career. And the clinic offered me an opportunity at that point to come in to support with administration and then new patient coordination. And then that role kind of evolved then into a nutrition role within the practitioner team. And from there to director of nutrition, and then subsequently into this role. So I feel very comfortable and at home because I feel like intrinsically I've kind of worked within most roles within the company now. And so it feels like a really rewarding step, but I feel really privileged to be kind of stepping into it at a time where there is a huge need for development and growth within the clinic. And that speaks to the current need out there from people with fatigue-related conditions.
I remember at my speech at the Christmas party, I don't know if you remember this, back in the end of 2019, and you'd 6 months previously come into the role of Director of Nutrition. And I said something like, well, because Kirsty started off in nutrition support, and then she became a new patient coordinator, and then a practitioner, and now she's Director of Nutrition, the next job must be mine, so I better watch out. And I was joking at the time. It's funny to sort of see that progression, but it's also, I love to see people evolve and progress. And I think it gives you not just the understanding of our patient community, but also of the organizational opportunities and challenges and how to best support the teams in that. Do you want to say a bit about some of the priorities and key focuses over the coming year or two as you're sort of developing into this role?
Yes, certainly. And I think what we saw through last year was an increased requirement for our services. And that wasn't just because of the emerging situation with long COVID. Obviously, that's a post-viral and fatigue-related condition, but we were genuinely seeing more requirements for our services from an ME/CFS traditional perspective, but also from a wider sort of fatigue-related conditions perspective. And we realized at that point that we needed to evolve quite quickly to have a more wide-reaching service provision to make sure that we were reaching as many people that we could outside of that kind of one-to-one consultation model that we have relied on up until this point. So within our brainstorming around how we could do that best, we started looking at a number of things, and recruitment was really the first thing within the team. So we are and have been actively recruiting to the practitioner teams. And that's really so we're in a position to offer more one-to-one appointments, but also more group sessions. But I think we felt that we wanted to offer support beyond that model. So we will, as of next month, as of February, be increasing our online presence. So there'll be an increasing amount of online videos and content from our practitioner team, just to offer more general, wide-reaching, content and support.
And I think it's also worth saying that the part of the reason why we sort of temporarily closed the doors to new patients last summer was for us to recruit the right practitioners and train those practitioners to the level that they need to be to really deliver the Optimum Health Clinic approach in the way that we expect. It takes time, and we've been taking the time to do that. And I think it's very exciting, some of the people that have been coming in, because these are not just people that recently qualified. These are people that have got many years of their own clinical experience. And I always think about the Optimum Health Clinic approach as something which is the product of all of the years of all of the patients we work with and all of the practitioners that contribute to that constant evolution of the approach.
It's a very unique clinical practice, I always think, and it requires a practitioner with a tenacity and somebody who lacks fear of complexity. So somebody who's going to run towards the complex nature that CFS is. It's never a simple fix. We know that. So when we're recruiting, we are looking for very, very specific practitioners that we feel will not only have the technical capacity to deal with the complexities of the condition, but also the empathy that's required. It's hugely important that we have practitioners who can really work very closely with clients, patients, often across kind of 2 to 3 years from sort of start to finish.
And so it's worth saying that although there are still some waiting lists, some of those waiting lists have depending upon people's clinical picture and which department are sort of winding down. There are a team of new practitioners that have been in development for a while now, which are in the coming months going to be starting to take on more patients as well, which I think is exciting to be able to once again offer the services that we are so passionate about.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's a really good level of new talent coming on board. These are experienced practitioners who have been in practice for a long time and so bring with them their own clinical experience, and that will only add to our dynamic as a team. So we're really happy that hopefully that will improve the service provision sort of again. So that's a good place to be in.
And do you want to say a few words as well about the research? People often have questions in recent years about the randomized controlled trial, and there's been trials and tribulations. But do you want to just say a bit about where we are at sort of the evolution of that as well?
Yeah, and as a team, we've always been really committed to staying abreast of the current research, particularly specifically around ME/CFS. It's really important because it directly informs our protocol development. And we've also a new element to that in that we've got emergent long COVID. So we have been researching even more than ever to sort of look at the comparisons between ME/CFS and what is currently diagnostically distinct long COVID, but actually there's a lot of crossover between the two. So in doing that research and our current research, that's kind of lent itself to the development of our existing protocols, but also the development of some new protocols as well. And therefore, we're feeling really well positioned, I think, going into this new year, that we've got a lot to offer to our community as we go forwards.
And there will also be some announcements later in the year about our internal research into the randomized controlled trial, which we gained NHS ethics approval for actually, I think, about 18 months ago. But because of all of the other bottlenecks in the organization, we had to sort of pause that. But as we sort of are ready to sort of progress and move forwards again, it's going to, I think, be very exciting to finally get into the sort of intervention stage of that project. Also, Kirsty, you mentioned about starting to put out more content online. A few things I think are worth saying about that. We're going to be doing a second Fatigue Super Conference in April. So the Fatigue Super Conference in 2019 was phenomenally successful. We'll be having some of the same experts, but also a number of new experts. We're going to be doing some content specifically around long COVID as part of that. We'll also have the return of the very popular case studies that we did as part of that original conference. We're also aiming to start releasing new content on our YouTube channel and Facebook. I think the plan is a video every other week. I'm hoping it might get up to every week at some point. As people may be aware, for the last 18 months or so, I've been regularly posting content on my YouTube channel and my Facebook and Instagram. Some of that content has been very relevant to the work with fatigue-related conditions that the Optimum Health Clinic does, but it's also had a broader reach in terms of that content. That content will continue, but I'm also really excited that we're going to start making some new content again around the work the Optimum Health Clinic does. I will be involved in that. Kirsty, you'll be involved in that, but also we're really excited to bring the wider team into that content as well. I should also say part of the reason we stopped putting content out last summer was every time we post something, we get a load of new inquiries. And it was a sort of point we were like, we can't send newsletters, we can't put videos out because it just was sort of fueling a sort of fire, which we're really glad that we're now in a position to be able to better support people in that way. I should also say, in case anyone's concerned with the change of roles of Kirsty coming to CEO, what am I doing? What's my role? So my role in the Optimum Health Clinic going forwards doesn't change much. I'm in the role of chairman, but also I think hopefully it shows that my commitment is very much still there. My next book, which is called Decode Your Fatigue, which is I wrote, but also with contributions from Kirsty and others in the team, which really pulls together the Optimum Health Clinic approach in a practical, simple, supportive way. This is a book that I've put off writing for about 15 years. I hope it's worth waiting for. I'm certainly very, very proud of it. So I really feel that with Kirsty's new role, some of the other new roles that we've been creating, we really are positioned not just through the content with the book, the new conference, the new videos online, but also with the practitioner teams that we've been bringing in to really support a lot more people. Kirsty, anything else that you want to say?
I absolutely echo that. I think the point is that we're very confident in what we are about to sort of release, but that's not just for the OHC community now. I think we're very focused on reaching sort of the wider fatigue community, and that's something to be really proud of.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, Kirsty, you're going to become a regular face on this channel, which I'm excited about, as will others in the team. And obviously, I will be continuing to contribute content as well. Thank you, Kirsty. I'm also very excited to see just already the impact you're having in your new role within the organization, which I think is really amazing. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And also those of you that have been around our community for perhaps many years, we really appreciate your support. We really appreciate how much I often say it's the people within Optimum Health Clinic that make it such an amazing place to work, but it's also the people we work with that make it such a rewarding job. So thank you, everyone, for your support. And yeah, we're really excited for what the coming years are going to bring.